Greetings everypony, my name is Alex, also known as Ponyship, and today I'm gonna review the latest episode of My Little Pony, the Brony Edition. So let's get right into it, shall we? Alright, so this episode is called Jim Henson's Pony Babies, and just like the original episode, it's about the cutie mark crusaders wanting to know how some of the other ponies got their cutie marks, mostly Rainbow Dash. And as Scootaloo says,
yeah, that's a great idea! It's a great excuse to develop their characters!
So they head towards Ponyville, and with the power of friendship, they're gonna track down Rainbow Dash. Along the way, they bump into Applejack, and Apple Bloom wants to hear her story, but Scootaloo says, whoa, I thought we were going to hear Rainbow Dash's story.
But she's one of the main six!
So Applejack tells her story of when she was a filly and went off to Manhattan to fulfill her dream of becoming a Broadway star. Upon arrival, she ended up in her aunt and uncle's apartment, and apparently they want to
brainwash you into becoming a rich pompous fuckwit!
Of course, she doesn't like this at all, so she begins to feel homesick and even starts to hear her family calling back to her.
Applejack! Victor! I'm not even born yet!
So she returns home, she's happy, she gets her cutie mark, yada yada, bing bam boom! After that, the cutie mark crusader scoots away trying to find Rainbow Dash again, but they bump into Fluttershy this time. Fluttershy begins telling her cutie mark story, and according to her, she had a very different voice back then.
Fucking wings, come on! Come on, I can make it! Yeah! Ow! I can't see! Oh!
Well, if it isn't Fluttershy, that's so funny.
After being bullied by Dude and Dumbbell, as they call them, Rainbow Dash comes into the picture and sticks up for Fluttershy, which then results in a race. Fluttershy gets knocked off the cloud, her screams being interrupted by the commercial break.
Damn commercial break!
She lands safely on the butterflies, and then we get a very nice musical number sung by Eric.
Everything is great. I've got something to prove.
But unfortunately, it gets interrupted by the Sonic Rainbow.
Oh my gosh! What happened to my voice? It sounded like I swallowed a bunch of pixie sticks.
So the animals get scared, she comforts them, she gets a cutie mark, you know the drill.
Holy crap, Fluttershy! I didn't think you were such a diva!
And with that, the cutie mark crusaders are off again to find Rainbow Dash, while Fluttershy begins to sing again.
I want to sing some more. La!
They somehow end up at Rarity's place, and of course she shares her story as well. Filly Rarity is not satisfied with her designs for the upcoming school pageant, and can't come up with anything good enough.
But they're supposed to be fabulous! Fabulous! I'll never achieve my dream.
Suddenly, her horn starts to drag her on a hilarious and long journey.
And thus began my quest, and let me tell you, it was too bloody long! Try to imagine the longest road trip you've ever had times 1,000!
She ends up at a big rock, or as Rarity called it.
Ow, whack!
The blast from the Sonic Rainbow opens up the rock and reveals a lot of gems. She then used these gems to design her outfits, which turned out great, and apparently that made her a woman.
And that is how I, Rarity, became a woman!
Yeah, woman, whatever.
Sick and tired of hearing her story, the cutie mark crusaders leaves without delay. Moments after, they stumble upon Twilight, who gladly shares her story as well. It was during the Summer Sun celebration in Canterlot when Twilight met Celestia and I quote, "the love of my life."
In a friendship way.
More determined than ever before, Twilight does her best to learn everything she can about magic. This results in her parents letting her know that she's been accepted in a very special school.
It's Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. But there was only one problem. I had to pass my eligible magic test.
Oh, come on, hatch the egg!
Being very nervous and fearing that the commercial break will cause her to fail her test, she does everything in her power to hatch the egg.
Get motivated! Motivation! Motivation! Motivation!
Realizing that she's not up to the task, she gives up and suddenly the Sonic Rainbow caused her magic to go out of whack. Things get very hectic, but luckily Celestia came along.
Be calm, little one.
Celestia recognizes the potential of Twilight and asks her to become her personal student.
Yes!
Twilight then acquires her cutie mark and gets extremely happy about it.
I'm gonna call you Sparkly! 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 Sparkly!
Being officially creeped out, the cutie mark crusaders leaves Twilight in her moments of happiness. Once again, the cutie mark crusaders head out looking for Rainbow Dash, only to be stalked by Pinkie Pie, who of course tells her story as well. Pinkie Pie grew up on a dirt farm where happiness
To the work of the devil!
and the ways of discipline are quite odd.
If you disobeyed him, he beat you with a stick. If you obeyed him, he beat you with a smelly stick.
Pinkie Pie hated her life, but the wonderful colors of the sonic rainbow lifted her spirits and also made her hungry. She realized that farming rocks are stupid and boring, so she sets up a big surprise for her family.
A very merry birthday to you, family. What do you think?
The party was a success, and Pinkie Pie had never been more happy.
And that, children, is how babies are made.
Whoa, what?
They arrive at Sugar Cube Corner, where they finally find Rainbow Dash.
Yes, everyone! We just need you! You're the only one I care about! Tell us a story, please!
Oh, shucks. Okay, I guess I can tell you my story.
The story picks up where Dash is about to race Dude and Dumbbell to defend Fluttershy's honor, but in her mind she ended up killing her instead. During the race, Rainbow Dash felt alive, and for her, nothing else mattered.
Here, my mom could be dying of cancer.
But being reminded of what an asshole Dude is, she was even more determined to beat him, which ended up her performing the Sonic Rainboom.
But when I hit that Sonic Rainboom, my voice had become the awesomeness it is today. But not only that, I can emit radioactive rainbows from my butt. Name 5 ponies that can do that.
After hearing her spectacular story, the other ponies realized that her Sonic Rainboom is what helped them during their times of distress.
Wait a minute. If it wasn't for your Sonic Rainboom, then I wouldn't have been able to find these animals that actually gave me my cutie mark.
Yes, and you helped me find those lovely, lovely gems!
So they group hug and every pony is happy. Except Scootaloo. Fluttershy starts singing Life's a Happy Song again, while we see Twilight writing a report to Celestia. So now when we have gone through the episode, I'm gonna share my thoughts on it. What I liked, what I disliked, what I think they could have done better, and stuff like that. Now do note that there will be a lot of nitpicks, so you best prepare yourself for that. The first thing I'm gonna talk about is the voiceover, and throughout the episode it was pretty damn solid. There was a lot of hilarious and quotable lines, and one thing I really liked is that they used reverb during the cutie mark stories. However, there were a few cases where the effect was missing. For example, in the beginning of Rarity's story, the effect was there.
The school pageant was a perfect opportunity to finally prove myself as a fashionista.
But in the very next scene, it was not.
I toiled away for hours and time was of the essence, but I just couldn't think of anything. It almost seemed like all hope was lost.
This also occurred in Pinkie Pie's story.
I couldn't wait to see the looks on their faces.
What are you doing in there?
Come on, you're gonna love it in here. I got big palm tweeds. I had no idea how they were going to react, but I just had to hope for the best.
Another thing I liked was at the end of Twilight's story, where she kept on yelling, "Sparkly, sparkly!" and it goes down in pitch as it fades out from the story. The overall volume balance for the voices is very good. There's just a few times where the volume difference is quite drastic. The worst case being at the end of Fluttershy's story, where she gets interrupted by Scootaloo.
It was the element of
Freaking out!
Another example would be the part with Rarity and the walk.
A walk? That's freaking it! A walk!
I also felt that the bickering between Scootaloo and Applebloom in the beginning of the episode went on a little too long.
Well, you know what? Your ideas aren't
I'm
really that good.
But the end definitely makes up for it. Now during Twilight's story, you can hear someone moving their microphone.
I can try.
And before Philly Rarity's epic journey, it sounds like someone turned off their microphone. These things are quite easy to edit out, so I don't see why they didn't do that. Maybe not the moving mic sound because it's mixed with her voice. Now I'm gonna talk a little bit about the sound effects. Just like the other episodes, most of it fitted very nicely and were in good sync. However, there were a couple of times where I felt they missed out on some of them. So I'm just gonna show you some examples so you know what I'm talking about.
Let's clean ourselves up and go interview all the people in Ponyville. But in my heart, I knew for a fact that it would be worth it in the end.
Frankie!
Be dying of cancer.
It was dinner time. Caramella gruel. Again.
Now the audio sync was very good. I only have a single nitpick. In the beginning of the race, there is a swoosh sound as they fly past Fluttershy, but it felt very off sync.
Anyway, go!
As for the music they used in this episode, all I can say is that they have done it again. I have nothing to nitpick about. The music was just perfect. It had stuff from like Yoshi's Island, Banjo-Kazooie, A Bug's Life, Their Own Life's a Happy Song, Brody Quest, and even F-Zero music. So there you go. So one last thing I'm gonna talk about is the video quality. Although the overall picture quality is great, the frames per second seems to be off. Originally, the show runs at 23.976 FPS, and apparently they rendered this episode in 29.97 FPS. Now you might ask, how is this a problem? Well, if you don't get the FPS right, you end up with this. If I have to rate this episode, I would probably give it 4 scoots out of 5. Because the episode was very funny, there were a lot of quotable lines and a lot of creative jokes. Such as when Fluttershy fell down from the sky, there were this arcade counter that stopped at a half second. But with the lack of sound effects at some part and the volume balance between the voices, and the overall FPS being off is what kept it from getting a 5 from me. So that's my review, I hope you really enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.
1, 2, 3, 4. I can't, this is growing up. 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 Oh, okay, we just gotta do that 10 more times and we'll beat Fluttershy. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Excuse me, coming through.
Come at me, Brony.
You better watch out, Nicole. You'll never beat me.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Fuck!